wanted to show you the next step for your project. Hopefully you have everything cut out, you've used your templates, and you have all of your pieces cut out. And hopefully you've cleaned up your huge mess of styrofoam, and it's hard to clean up because it sticks to everything. So make sure you get that cleaned up so it doesn't end up in your spaghetti dinner tonight. So anyways, you should have all your pieces cut out. Make sure you've got your base. If you haven't included your base, you'll want to make sure you get that. Okay, so I wanted to explain how to put this together now, okay? After you get your pieces all cut out, you want to kind of look at it and see how it's going to all lay out together. Remember that you need 3 layers of depth. So on mine I have 1, 2, and 3, okay? So I kind of just placed it all together, make sure it works, make sure it kind of looks like my drawing, okay? And then you're going to want to think about how that's going to sit on your base and be balanced, okay? So you want to kind of plan out the main part of your project first, and then the last step is to attach it to your base, okay? So what I did on my arms, I went ahead and kind of placed it where I want it to go, and on the back side drew some lines of where it's going to touch my other pieces of styrofoam. That way I know where to put the glue. And for this part, you're going to just use regular Elmer's school glue, okay? And this will be in your packet that you receive when you pull through. If you already have this at home and you want to start this step, for this step we're going to be using glue and wooden toothpicks, okay? So if you have those supplies on hand, you can go ahead and get started. Okay, so on my project, I am just going to put some glue in the places where I need it to attach to my project. So I'm just putting that on both sides. All right. You want to put a generous amount on it, but not so much that it's just going to make a big, huge, oozing mess. Okay. All right, so I don't know if you can kind of see that in the angle there where I've got it. Okay, next step is to actually attach that to my piece. Now the glue is not going to hold it right now. It is the long-term fix, okay? Your toothpicks are going to hold it in place right now until that glue dries. Once that glue dries, then you're in good shape. Okay, so I'm going to place my first arm using my guidelines that I drew to kind of help me remember where it all goes. I'm going to place it on my project, give it just a little pressure. Remember, it's not going to stick permanently right now. Until that glue dries, it's going to be movable, okay? So I'm going to place that right there, carefully holding it, flip it over, and line up so that it matches my other side. Now remember, each of your designs are a little different, so you may not have a piece that lines up exactly on both sides. So you're just going to glue your pieces where you need them to go. Okay, so now I've got them glued, but I want to secure those in place so that they don't move until it's dry. So I'm just going to use some wooden toothpicks, and I'm going to push it all the way through in several places. I have a couple more here so that I know it's holding it in place. I'm going to put a few on this end. When you push your toothpicks through, you'll want to kind of measure first to make sure that the toothpick isn't longer than your area of styrofoam. If it is, just break off a little piece of it and then just push through what you need. And I'm just going to use the back of this glue to finish poking those toothpicks down through. So what that looks like is this now. I don't know if you can kind of see where I've pushed through those toothpicks. Can't see them all at all on this side. but that toothpick is going through my layers of styrofoam, temporarily holding that secure until that glue dries. Okay, so far, this is what I have of my sloth. So it becomes three-dimensional. Okay, the last piece that I have on mine is his little face. That's gonna come right here, okay? Now, I looked at that already, and my toothpick is longer than those two pieces of styrofoam. If you've got three pieces that you're going through, you can just push that full toothpick through. But otherwise, you'll want to break some of it off. So I'm just going to break off a portion of it on a couple of them. They don't have to be even. Just make sure they're shorter than your styrofoam. Okay, looking at my drawing to see which way it goes like this. And that whole surface is going to attach to that styrofoam. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the whole piece. Now I know some of you might have had some pieces that broke off while you were cutting it out, and so I'm going to show you in just a second how to repair that. So hopefully you saved those pieces. All right, so I'm going to attach this little guy right here, give it just a little pressure to hold it in place, and then I'm going to push those toothpicks through to hold it in place. Use something to get that last little bit through there. Don't worry about the holes. Those are going to be covered up, but just make sure that it is pushed all the way through. There we go. So it looks like this now. You can kind of see. Okay, so that's my pieces for my sloth. Okay, my last step is to attach it to my base. Okay, so here's my base. Before you attach it, you want to kind of look and see how is it weighted. You want this to be able to stand on its own. If it's super weighted on one side, you're going to want to offset that on your base, okay? So mine is a little bit more heavy on this side versus this side, okay? So I want to give myself a little bit more wiggle room here. And you want to give yourself enough surface area here touching the base so that it is secure, okay? So you want to kind of rotate it, figure out where that goes. So I am offsetting mine slightly because it is a little bit heavier on this side, okay? Same concept, okay? We're gonna do some glue, we're gonna do some toothpicks, okay? So I'm kind of marking on my project where I want that to sit, okay? And I'm gonna put some glue down on my base to help me with that. Okay, and then for my toothpicks attaching it to the base, it's a little bit trickier to hold that in place and stick those toothpicks up through the base. So if you know that your toothpicks are longer or shorter than the pieces you're attaching, you can go ahead and stick your toothpicks in. So I'm just gonna stick those in. And I'm gonna use a lot right here because this is gonna be a place where that whole sculpture has to balance and sit. So I want it to be really secure. So I'm going to stick several toothpicks in there to give it a lot of stability. You can decide how many. Okay, so what that looks like, get the screen back on here. There we go. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay. So you can see my glue there and you can see my toothpicks. Okay, so now I'm ready to attach my project to it. Okay, making sure that those toothpicks are gonna line up where I need it to go. So I'm kinda gonna measure where I want it to sit, and then slowly, I've got one toothpick kind of coming out the back side here. So I'm gonna have to be super gentle as I push that down. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull that toothpick out because it was kind of sticking out the back side. Okay, so I've got that in there, really nice and secure. Make sure you push it down good. okay? And at this point, you just want to make sure that it can stand on its own and balance. If it's the slightest bit tippy, this is the time you want to adjust it. The next step, we're going to be coating your whole project with this special foam coating. It's kind of like a plaster coating. It will make it a little bit heavier. So if it is slightly, kind of tipping one way or the other, go ahead and adjust that now, because once you get that plaster, that may be the final part that tips it over. So get that nice and secure. And next step is just to let that sit and dry for a day. 24 hours should be plenty of time for that to fully dry and procure there, so that you're ready for the next step. Okay, once you're to this point, send some pictures and go to our Thursdays at Mud Creek Facebook page, and in the comments you can post pictures of where you're at to this point, because we want to see your progress. Okay, I'll be back soon with the next step.